Good afternoon and welcome to Africa Today. I am Aidnan Lubem. First, let's talk the headlines. On the headlines, Ngige moves to resolve Assu strike. Burkina town blockaded by jihadists, warns of famine. Kenya arrests fugitive for drug trade. On sports, team Nigeria wins gold, bronze in discus throw. And now to the news in detail. President Muhammadu Buhari has paid his condolences to those who lost their loved ones in the recent barbaric terrorist attacks in Sokoto, Kaduna and Plateau states. The president, who reviewed the situation following reports on the loss of several lives in the attacks, assured all possible support from the federal government to the states, adding that the government has given security forces full freedom to deal with and bring to an end the current insecurity situation. President Buhari, while condemning the attack, also assured the bereaved the necessary government support in combating the insecurity bedeviling the nation at large. Federal government of Nigeria has called for collective efforts to prevent violence and extremist attacks in the country. The Minister of Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Talen, who spoke at the National Stakeholders Forum on Parenting for Peace in Abuja on Tuesday, decried the loss of lives and properties to insecurity in the country, adding that this could have a multiplier effect on the nation's economy. Talen, who was represented by the acting permanent secretary of the ministry, Idris Mohammed, said all hands must be on deck to tackle violence and extremism in all ramifications threatening the peaceful existence of the country. Also speaking, Ndubisi Anyanwu said that the course had advanced peace and stability by addressing and mitigating gender dynamics that perpetuate and exacerbate conflict in the country. And now to Nigeria's Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, on Tuesday said he adopted voluntary conciliation for the resolution of the strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities instead of arbitration in order not to delay the resolution process. The minister said he could have transmitted the matter to the Industrial Arbitration Panel, that is AAP, or the National Industrial Court of Nigeria, NICN, but used his discretion to weigh the situation to know if it would cause more delay in resolution of the dispute in a court process.
There is nothing wrong in first talking. When you talk within yourself and you have a breakdown, you can proceed to the next stage, in which case you now call for mediation.
Left for me to use my discretion and weigh the implications of such a transfer. If I transfer, will it cause more delay in a court process rather than doing voluntary conciliation?
Ngige disclosed this while fielding questions from newsmen at a joint workshop on international labour standards and dispute resolutions organized by the IAP in collaboration with the International Labour Organization, that is ILO, in Abuja, the nation's capital. He recalled that Assu had embarked on strike on February 14 and he started voluntary conciliation on February 22 and subsequently on March 1st. Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello has banned the wearing of face masks in public places to ensure the proper identification of persons in the state. Bello gave the order during an emergency security meeting in Lokoja on Tuesday with all first and second class traditional rulers, including local government council chairmen in the state.
Institutions, use of nose mask in the public is hereby banned and prohibited as far as Kogi State is concerned. If you see anybody coming inside hotel, public place, and is inside of Canada and going, you have the right to stop him to remove that nose mask there and then. If he is not well, he should go to the hospital or he should stay back at home and get well before he comes.
The governor also urged all traditional rulers to guard their domain and ensure all the nooks and crannies of their areas are cleansed. The governor also ordered the closure of all brothels harboring prostitutes in the state.
State Security Advisor and CP, please, all brothels, as from today, are closed down completely. All brothels, not hotels, but brothels where acts of criminality or certain immoral acts are taking place, as far as Ngige State is concerned, are hereby closed down. And if they operate, as from tomorrow, we will knock down and demolish that brothel, that building.
Governor Bello further admonished the State Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, local government chairmen, union leaders and security agencies to meet with tricycle and motorcycle riders for proper documentation while directing the removal and demolition of shanties in Lokoja, Osara, Zango, Itobe, Obajana and all other areas in the state. When we return, news from other parts of West Africa. Don't go away. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. You're still watching Africa Today on Hughes TV. And now to the international scene. Inhabitants of a town in northern Burkina Faso whose roads access have been cut off by jihadists say that food supplies are running out. This was disclosed by the medical charity Médecins Sans Frontières, that is MSF, in the early hours of today, who confirmed that hunger was worsening. According to the report, Islamist militants on June 25 damaged a bridge providing the only road access to the town of Seba, the administrative seat of Yagha province. Residents swiftly tried to repair the damage, but the bridge was destroyed in a subsequent attack, leaving Seba cut off from the rest of the country. Local traders have commissioned 14 trucks to bring in urgently needed supplies, but they are stranded in the town of Dori. Attacks have increased since the start of the year, despite a coup by colonels whose declared priority is to restore security. Meanwhile, Burkina Faso's army said it accidentally killed civilians during a counter-terrorist operation in the country's southeast earlier this week. The West African country has been battling an insurgency by Islamist militant groups, some linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State, which control large swaths of territory and wage frequent attacks. The army revealed in a statement that during operations which made it possible to neutralize several dozen terrorists, the strikes unfortunately caused collateral victims within the civilian population. As at the time of this report, it did not say how many civilians were killed. However, it stated that the victims were hit by projectiles in the zone between Kompenga and Pognoa near the border with Togo on Monday. Togo, which has been contending with the spillover of militancy from Burkina Faso, accidentally killed 7 civilians in an airstrike last month near the same border. We now move to other parts of Africa after this break. Welcome back, and now to other parts of Africa. Kenyan police have arrested a suspect linked to a transnational drug and wildlife trafficking syndicate and who have been indicted in a U.S. court with 3 others. According to Kenyan police, detective from its serious crime unit on Tuesday arrested Abdi Hussein Ahmed, also known as Abu Kadi, in the central Meru County following a tip-off from the public. Ahmed was charged in 2019 in a court in the Southern District of New York with conspiracy to traffic rhinoceros horns and elephant species worth $7 million and intends to traffic a kilogram of cocaine. He was indicted jointly with Muazu Kruma, also known as Ayub, Amara Sharif, also known as Bamba Isiaka, and Mansur Mohammed Surur, also known as Mansur. They had reportedly conspired to smuggle the horns and ivory from Kenya, Uganda, the DRC Congo, Guinea, Mozambique, Senegal, and Tanzania. South African police arrested more than 40 men over suspected illegal mining on Tuesday in Krugersdorp outside Johannesburg. Authorities in Gauteng province have stepped up their operations against illegal miners in recent days following reports of the gang rapes of 8 women and armed robbery of a video production crew. The suspects were allegedly illegal miners, but none of those detained on Tuesday have been directly linked to the incident, which outraged the community. While speaking to journalists, Gauteng Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Elas Mawela noted that while the 40 men were arrested for their own deeds, the process of taking DNA samples and fingerprints could help other investigations.
Operation is one of those sustained operations we are running in the province to can deal with illegal mining and illicit businesses. But this is on another level. The process of taking the fingerprints, the DNA, the buccal sample, whatever, it's our investigation chain. We'll continue with that because when we do that, it also assists us to can link these people with other crimes which they've committed before. So it will help us to can deal even with those who were evading us all along.
Mawela was joined on the operation by a series of police units, including a tactical response team, sniffer dogs, and a support helicopter. The police further stated that the gang's rapes occurred when a crew filming a music video at one of the abandoned mines was attacked by armed men on Thursday last week. Burning candles, singing and displaying a Congolese flag on the floor, members of different social movements and politicians remembered the 36 people who died in the last few days during protests against the United Nations mission in the country. The group had demanded justice be applied in and outside Congo against those killed in the protesting. Meanwhile, the government is reassessing the presence of UN peacekeepers after the protest against the force in the country. Demonstrations escalated after UN peacekeepers opened fire on civilians, killing 3 in Kasindi, an eastern border post with Uganda earlier this week. Up next on Africa Today is business news. Don't go away. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now to business news. Price of kerosene used by several families in Nigeria has jumped to 800 naira per litre, just as the market is beginning to adjust to the newly increased petrol and gas prices. A market survey on Tuesday showed that 1 litre of cooking kerosene sold for 700 naira last week, but now sells for between 800 naira and 850 in urban parts of Lagos State and Abuja, while the price has hit as high as 1,000 naira per litre in suburb areas at filling stations. In Ghana, the price of a litre of cooking kerosene gas sells for 12.044 Ghanaian cedis, and that is equivalent to 585 naira per litre. Unlike petrol, kerosene is a deregulated product, meaning prices are determined by market forces. Speaking on the Development National Operations Controller, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Mike Osatui, told newsmen it was as a result of the dollar to naira rate and the crude price at the international market. As of June, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, that is NBS, had reported an 88% rise in price of cooking kerosene and liquefied petroleum gas within 1 year. Still talking business, need to chart a new and sustainable economic model is at the top of discussions as the first African Regional Roundtable on Climate Initiatives kicked off in Addis Ababa on Tuesday. The UN Under-Secretary General and Executive Secretary of the Economic Commission for Africa, that is ECA, Vera Songwe, alongside African finance and trade ministers, are amongst the stakeholders taking part in the forum.
Africa COP is not just a COP where we go and meet and talk, but that it has to be a COP that delivers. We're looking at this COP being really the clarion call, the wake-up post-COVID recovery, where we're all going to be in a different economic setting. Gas, I just talked about the availability of gas in mostly, I think, maybe we will say our northwestern borders and a little bit of our eastern borders, fertile land in our southern parts of the continent. We could begin to have that conversation of how do we, ensure that Egypt creates maybe 6 million jobs by buying wheat from southern Africa as opposed to bringing it in from outside the continent. We can also export, of course, but there is a conversation on the AFCFTA that begins to happen.
Still to come on Africa Today, it's sports. Don't go away.
Good afternoon to you and welcome to Sport News on Africa Today. I'm Richard Badu. On Sport News, President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated a 16-year-old Nigerian, Ian Bong Essien, for finishing second on at the Champions of Champions World Golf Championship Invitational in Northern Ireland. The president salutes the achievements of the youngster, who currently tops the junior player cadre in Nigeria and has been credited with over 20 medals since she won her first medal at the age of 5. President Buhari joins all Nigerians in celebrating this great teenager who is doing so much for the country by demonstrating that hard work and determination pays. He wished the golfer more spectacular success in her career. Away from that, Team Nigeria's Chioma Onyekwere has shot the country up the medal table after winning gold in women's discus events at the ongoing Commonwealth Games in Birmingham. Onyekwere clinched Nigeria's third medal after throwing a season best of 61.70 meter to beat England's Jade Lally, who won the silver medal throwing 58.42 meter. Also, Nigeria's Obiageri Amechi came third in the final, clinching the bronze medal after throwing 56.99 meter. In the women's weightlifting, Nigeria's Mary Osijo claimed a bronze medal in the 87 kilogram category. She lifted 102 kilogram in the snatch and 123 in the clean and jerk for a combined weight of 225 kg to increase the nation's medal tally in Birmingham. Still talking sports, former South Africa batter Lisa Lee has revealed that failing a weight test was a significant factor in her decision to retire from international cricket. The 30-year-old abruptly stepped down last month in the middle of a tour of England, missing one-day international and 20 fixture in the series after featuring in the Seoul Test. Lee's decision was all the more surprising, given she had been named the leading women's cricketer in the world in April, having also been crowned the best women's one-day international cricketer for 2021 in January. Cricket South Africa, that is CSA, confirmed Lee was declared ineligible for the white ball matches against England for failing to meet its workload and fitness standards. Right from there, Africa's fastest man, Ferdinand Omanyala, credits rival Akoni Simbin for inspiring him to beat the world's best. The pair has pushed each other to lower the African 100-meter record to 9.77 seconds and was separated by just 0.03 of a second at the Continental Championships in June. A rematch is eagerly anticipated in today's Commonwealth Games final after the weird second and fourth fastest in Tuesday's heats. Simbin, 28, is the current champion. The South African unseated favourite Johan Blake on the Gold Coast 4 years ago. Omanyala won his Commonwealth heats in a time of 10.07, with Simbin clocking 10.10 as he also crossed the line first in his heats. And that's your sport news on Africa Today. Back to Ainan Lubem for the rest of the news. I'm Richard Badung.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Motorists and residents, particularly youths, yesterday barricaded the ever-busy Benin-Sapele Highway and adjoining streets following the inability of the federal government of Nigeria to fix its failed portions. Addressing newsman Daniel Omoregbe, chairman Sarbag Sepele Road Axis, said the blocking of the major road has become necessary following a series of avoidable deaths and time wasting.
So this what came out today is that we want to know who is lying, if the federal government or the Levant. If you look at this road, somebody died last week. Somebody died on this road, fire accident. A tanker fell down there, a car was burned down, and somebody died. So how long can we continue with this? This is our country. They should come and fix this road for us.
The protesters and other aggrieved groups, in conjunction with Sarbag Sepele Road residents, who embarked on a peaceful protest, left motorists plying the route stranded for several hours. Meanwhile, some residents called on the federal government to put an end to the nightmare of their children face when going or returning from school.
Over 2 years, we have been coming out to agitate, to express our displeasure, to tell government, draw their attention to the plight of these people. Today, you can see, if you move around, you can see the deplorable state of the road.
That I'm appealing that you should come and listen and hear the plight and the cry of our people. I'm also appealing to the state governor, Mr. Obaseki. You have come before and you gave them a palliative measure. What they are saying is that they don't need a palliative measure. They need a concrete work to be done.
And that's Africa Today. But before we go, here are the headlines once again. We told you on the headlines, Ngige moves to resolve Assu strike. Burkina town blockaded by jihadist warns of famine. Kenya arrests fugitive for drug trade. And on sports, we told you Team Nigeria wins gold, bronze in discus throw. Remember to visit us on Facebook at Hills TV, Instagram at Hills TV, YouTube channel at Hills TV. I am Ainan Lubem. Thank you for watching.